What's up? Don't mind me.
What's up?
Okay. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure I shared the show, which hopefully you guys are doing that as well. It definitely helps out and I appreciate it. So make sure you guys share the show too. Um, and speaking of sharing the show, I will post the link in the comments for you guys in case you want to join. I do. I've been paying attention, you guys. I've been paying attention to the things you're saying. We had a party this weekend to celebrate Everett's birthday, and it's just all of our friends come over. We play volleyball. We have a sand volleyball court in our yard, and we do these twice a year. The one on Labor Day always falls around Everett's birthday, so we always celebrate his birthday at that time. But I was listening to people talking, um, not just to me, I was eavesdropping, but everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's saying that shit is hard right now. It's really hard. Um, I went and got uh some an ice cream cake and then like a little one just in case there wasn't enough. It was like this one that looks like a log. I don't know. Um, I got those and it was $63. $63 for basically 1 1/4 ice cream cake. Um, and I made it very clear when we had our party that if you couldn't, if it was going to put a strain on you, then absolutely do not bring food. Um, because first of all, I don't invite people to my house who are going to judge you for that kind of stuff. And also because it's my house and it's definitely a judgment free zone. But, everybody's talking about their struggles and how, groceries are $400 a week instead of 150. And, it's it's not it's not you. The system is very broken, you guys, and I'm sure that you see it. Um, we are currently living in what they're calling the silent depression because it is worse than the Great Depression. It's facts. Look it up. When you adjust everything for inflation, we are making way less and paying way more. Housing, yes, I am a real estate agent, but the housing market is crazy high in terms of, what it would be if you adjusted for inflation. Um, everything. Your utilities are super expensive, your insurance, your car payment, all of it. When you adjust it for inflation, we're paying like 4 times more and we're making half as much. So I just I feel like people are taking it personally. I feel like people, because our whole lives we've been taught like, if you're my age or older, we were always taught like just work hard and then you'll be able to afford whatever you want, right? So it's so important that people understand that that's that's not a thing anymore. Um, hey John, it's it's tough for everyone and we're seeing which I'm not super against multi-generational families. People are basically kids are forced to stay home for a long time because even if you go to college and you get a good job, then you still can't afford things. And heaven forbid you would like to rent your first apartment. That's out of control. But we're seeing a lot more multi-generational households. We're seeing a lot more people like growing their own food and doing things like that because that's what people have to do. Um, This is so important to me. I just really want people to understand that it is not you. There's no amount of working hard. You're working hard enough. It's not your fault that you're struggling. Um, so please don't ever like hesitate to reach out. Don't ever, ever, ever let your pride get in the way of asking for help. I think it's 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 just bullshit, honestly. I hate that it was basically taught to us like if you reach out for help, that's a sign that you're weak. It's not. It's a sign that our system is broken. And I Rebecca says that, yeah, that's not a reality. Um oh sorry. Um I just I hate that asking for help is not a weakness, okay? There's so many people that need help, and you can drive by any food pantry or food bank or whatever, and you'll see there's Mercedes in the driveway. You're in the parking lot. There's BMWs. There's all kinds of things. It's not you. It's not people who don't work hard. It's everybody. John says, blame the politicians. I agree. There's a lot of things that could be fixed if people wanted to fix them, on both sides. So don't even anybody get political. Um, there's there's definitely things that could be put into place that would make it a lot easier for people. One of the things being like price gouging. I feel like, yes, things have happened, COVID and gas prices going up and whatever, but companies shouldn't be making record profits. If you're making record profits, then maybe lower your prices a little bit so that people can actually afford to eat. Just a thought. But again, go, these people are not going to, people don't give a shit about other people. They don't care. At the end of the day, they're just happy because when they make record profits, then they make record bonuses. So, it's hard to get them to understand that. They're not gonna do that. Um, Rebecca says that, her saying it's not reality is in reference to working hard and having enough money. Yeah, it's not a thing. Which is crazy because that's what was shoved down our throats our whole lives, go to college, get a good job, and you could have whatever you want. You can go on vacations and you can have a house and 2 cars and 2.5 kids and a picket fence. That definitely is not that's not the way it works anymore. Yeah, John says I threw a wide net. I hate them all. I agree. All of them. Every single one of them. I like the fact that people are starting to see that that's what it is. It's not like black people versus white people, gay people versus straight people. Like it's like normal people versus politicians. That's it. I mean, if we could just focus on that, we'd be much better off. Rebecca says, prime example, why is eating healthy so much more expensive than eating the crap that's killing us? Thank you. Um, anytime like the word organic is in it, it's like twice as expensive. And listen, I have gone to the grocery store with $20 and had to make it last for 2 weeks. I wasn't buying organic produce. I was buying hot dogs and SpaghettiOs and powdered cheese, macaroni and cheese, and, you know, that's what I could afford because that's what's cheap. And you know what's scary about listen, I'm obviously not you can look at me and tell that I'm not like I don't eat all organic food, but, um, it's a little scary. They started doing this thing on food where It doesn't even tell you what's in it anymore. If you wanna know what's in it, if you wanna know what the ingredients are, you have to scan, like, this little QR code on the back of the packaging. Um, Pay attention because that's a new thing. So now they're making it, like, even harder for you to tell how many things in your food are killing you. It's exciting. What a time to be alive. Goose. Sam says, "It's so sad in my work field to see these people who have been at their jobs for 8 plus years and still make $10 an hour. Like, do these people know others are being hired in at 15 to do the same?" Yeah. Yep. Um, she said, "It's wild. They stay there because it's comfortable and they feel they can't do better. So scary." It is pretty crazy. I mean, companies I feel like are struggling to, like, keep employees, first of all, because they treat everybody like a number, but that's a whole whole 'nother thing, but they're struggling to keep employees, and it seems like everybody's short-staffed, so their answer to that is to hire in new people and, like, give them sign-on bonuses and give them more money and all of these things, but then they're not, like, treating their loyal employees very good. Like, in my mind, that's what you should do, right? You reward loyalty. Um, so then it encourages people to stay. If you're just, giving like I saw Wendy's was giving like a $250 sign-on bonus or something. Like if you were a new employee, you got $250. Okay, so they're giving new employees $250, but then they would just, like, stay for, like, the minimum, it says, like, $250 if you stay for 2 weeks. So then people are staying for 2 weeks and then leaving, and then you have your original employees who are, again, getting screwed over, and they're getting passed by on raises because the money's not there. Well, the money's not there because they're giving it to new employees who are doing nothing for the company. It's a whole mess. Again, it's a broken, broken system. Um, but that leads me to my whole point about talking about this is that I hope to God that you guys understand that this is everybody. This is everybody. This is people who are 18 and just starting out. And this is people who are close to retirement and can't do that now because things have changed so much. This is everybody. And this is such a key time for humanity. And I know that sounds so dramatic, um, but it really is. We are being put to the test right now so much in every single way. And there's never been a time where community is more important. Um, and it's everything. It's everything. We really need to work on how we treat each other. If you are able to help somebody, like, say you have a neighbor who's a single mom and you notice that when she's carrying in the groceries, it's like one bag or two bags because that's all she can afford. Maybe drop some non perishables off on her doorstep. Obviously, that's not possible for everybody, but just there's so many free things that you can do to help people and it's not always about like helping them to get some sort of financial gain. Um, Maybe just going over there and just sitting with her and telling her that, shit sucks for you too. That's the whole reason I started the show is because I wanted people to understand that you're not alone when you're struggling with these things. And I think that now is more important than ever for us to make sure that everybody knows that. Um, it's so easy for us to struggle and to be in survival mode and to turn it around and hate everyone, right? I mean, it's easy to be angry. It really is, because when you are busting your ass for 40, 50, 60 hours a week and you come home and your card gets declined when you go to try to buy a pizza or something, like you can't treat yourself, you can't go on vacations, you can't do anything like for you. And it gets to a point where it's like, what am I doing this for? And it's easy to get angry and it's easy to hate the world. Um, but please don't do that, because there's so many good people out there that are in the same boat you are. So I think it's super important for us to understand that and to just reach out and to help each other get through it. Um, it's it's just like the Hunger Games, right? We just have to remember who the real enemy is. It's not your neighbor's fault that the prices are so high and whatever. And I understand that you're angry, but we just have to try to show some grace. Um, CM says exactly, you would think they would want to hold on to their lifer Susie and give her a raise so she can afford to keep a roof over her head. Yeah. Yeah, but we really, you know, that's another thing that has like drastically changed. Um, I feel like when I talk like this, I feel like I'm like 150 years old, because it should take a little bit longer for the world to change as much as it has in my 40 years of life. Um, like I remember people would retire from a company that they started at when they were like 15. People would start out in the mailroom. It was like what, all the adults in my life talked about. Oh, you start in the mailroom and work your way up. That was like a thing. Like everybody did that. You started at a company and they treated you right. They treated you like family and you stayed there for 30 years and then you retired from there. Nobody does that anymore. Um, Companies just don't. They just don't. They don't treat people like family anymore. Um, and that's probably a big problem. Nobody has I don't wanna I'm not trying to be like the stereotypical people on the internet who are like, "People don't wanna work anymore." I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying, like, people have no desire to work for companies anymore because why would they? Um, why would I show you loyalty when you don't show me any loyalty and when you don't like, I'm just a number. If something happened to me tomorrow, then my company is just gonna replace me. I'm just a number, and they treat people that way. Um So people just don't work at companies forever anymore. My beautiful sister said, "Hi, sister. I love that you mentioned pizza. I decided to take myself out to dinner today. So I'm watching the show at my local pizza place, heading to a meeting afterwards." That's awesome. I think it's so important. Um, and especially you could get a pizza and eat for like 4 days on that because you probably eat one piece at a meal. So that's 8 meals for you. But I'm I'm probably not one to talk about financial things, but listen, life is so short. Life is so short. And it's certainly way too short to be anything but happy. And yes, you could put that $15, $20, whatever that pizza costs, into a savings account. And maybe by the time you retire, it will be worth $25, right? But if you are having a bad day and that would make you happy, just going out to a pizza place and just sitting there and watching your sister's podcast, then freaking do it. Um, and if you can't do it, then figure out a cheap way to do it. Maybe it doesn't have to be like ordering a pizza from Pizza Hut because that's like $25 a pizza. Maybe you figure out how to make a pizza. Actually, my kids and I love making pizzas because it's fun. You can make them however people want. But you get the point. Um, I think that we need to do more stuff like that. Like this weekend we had our volleyball party and everybody brought a side dish or a dessert or something, and it wasn't a ton of money for each individual person to do that, but it made a big impact when we all got together. And so maybe we need to do more stuff like that. Like if we can't afford to go out to eat, then have a potluck. And, it's easy in the summertime because you can just grill out or whatever. But I mean, you could do potlucks during the winter too. Um, if you can't go to the movies, then have everybody over and watch a movie together. Make your own popcorn. Popcorn's super cheap. At home, it's super cheap, I should specify. But it's just, we cannot get into survival mode. I feel like everybody's in survival mode. And survival mode to me is like tunnel vision. All you're doing is working and going home, and you're just miserable. And you don't care about anything. You don't care about anyone else. You just are in survival mode. And I feel like we can't do that. I feel like we have to make sure that we keep each other out of that mode. And if that means like, once a month movie nights at somebody's house, or, you know, um, wintertime is coming up. I'm very sad about that. Um, do something, go to a park, get a couple of people, get your kids together, whatever, go to a park or something. Just do something so that your life is not just like work, home, work, home, work, home. That's that's depressing. Don't do that. Um, and I wanted to talk about this too because I've been seeing a lot of people sharing stuff on Facebook where it's like, "Oh, you wanna see who your real friends are? Like, stop texting first and see who reaches out." Or, um, like, what is the other one that I see all the time? Oh, go through a struggle and see who's there with you and who's not. Listen, I'm gonna spoil something for you. Everyone is struggling. That's it. You might not see it, but every single person is struggling. And for you to sit here and be like, my struggles are more important than everybody else's struggles, please don't do that because you wouldn't want people to do that to you. Um, not everyone is able, not everyone is able to reach out. Okay. Um, sometimes, like me for the last 3 months, if I know you in my personal life, I haven't reached out to you, have I? No. Sometimes people are not able to be the amazing friend that you need. Sometimes they are just stuck at home in survival mode. Sometimes they are stuck at home in a depression, and the thought of picking up the phone and texting somebody is excruciating, and they can't do it. And I think that's a very slippery slope. Yes, it would be good if your friends would reach out to you. But at the same time, sometimes they can't. And especially in a time like now where everybody is struggling, we can't expect people to do that. Um, I just think that it's not fair. Um, because if you judge a friendship on when people reach out, I am the world's shittiest friend. I don't reach out to people. First of all, because here's another thing. Sometimes people feel like they're a burden on people. And if I reach out to you, then that means that I'm going to end up talking about how crabby I am lately. And then it's going to turn into you trying to be nice to me and help me. And I don't want to do that to you. So I'm just not going to reach out to you. Um, but at the same time, if you were to call me or text me and say, hey, I'm really struggling with groceries. Do you have any ideas on what I can do? I will sit there and talk to you for 2 hours about what's going on. I will do everything in my power to help you. I will invite you over for dinner. I will feed your family, but I didn't reach out to you first. So does that make me a bad friend? Or, you know, um, I've been seeing a lot of that lately, and I feel like that just adds fuel to the fire of everybody going into survival mode. And don't do that. If you want to talk to somebody, talk to them. Don't fault them for not reaching out to you. Sorry. Hey, Penny and Mama Bear. Katie says super lame, but I make little pizzas from English muffins and pizza sauce and toppings, and everyone can make their own and can put them in the toaster oven or regular oven for a few minutes till the cheese is bubbly or golden, and then you're good. See, it's nice. And pizza crust, if you just like buy, I mean, listen, I know people who are better at baking than I am can just make it from scratch. But if not, they have little pizza dough kits that are like, it's like just add water and they're like 50 cents even now. Maybe they're 65 cents now. Who am I kidding? They're probably a dollar now, but they're cheap. Um, and it is just a nice way because it turns it from like dinner to like an experience. If everybody work together, everybody can make their own pizza in their own shape. Some people can make a football shape, circles, ovals, whatever. Um, you could just make whatever you want. And then I don't know, it's just an experience instead of just a dinner. It's better than just slapping a pizza on the table. We did that with bagels. Yes. Pizza bagels are delicious. Rebecca says, exactly. It's just another way to divide everyone. Things are bad enough in the world. We don't need to keep score. Yes, that's what it is. It's keeping score, and that's not okay. Um, Keeping score in our friendships. I totally agree. And it's keeping score in an unfair game is the other thing too. Because some people when they're depressed or anxious or whatever, their response is to talk to people because they just want to be distracted from what's going on in their own lives. And so their coping mechanism is to talk to as many people as possible. And they'll go out with people and just like anything to keep their mind off of it, which I understand. You know, being in your own thoughts is like the worst place you can be. So a lot of times people will distract themselves and that's what they do. But sometimes people can't do that. And it's so important that you understand that. It doesn't make them a bad friend. Um, it makes them a human being who is struggling. And that's why I think that it's like an unfair, you're keeping score. It's like having Michael Jordan and my 9-year-old playing the same game and then keeping score. They're not at the same level. And that's what you're doing when you're comparing friendships, when you're comparing people and how good of a friend they are. I could go years. Actually, I just watched a video that said that this is like a sign of ADHD is like out of sight, out of mind. And as shitty as it sounds, that goes for people too. But I could go years without talking to somebody, years. But if that person called me up and needed something, I would be there. And I would be there like stronger and more passionately than the people that they talk to every day who are just acquaintances. So it's not a fair it's not a fair game at all to keep score in. Um and that's, it just I don't know, it just all goes back to everyone is struggling in their own different ways. Um and it's just not fair. And I think that it's I don't know why it seems to me like our society just wants us to be alone and miserable. Um, and maybe that's just my brain like overanalyzing things, but I feel like every time I'm on any sort of social media, that's what's like shoved down your throat is reasons why you should hate people, reasons why your friends aren't your friends, reasons why like you should stay home, you should not do anything, you should not talk to anyone, everyone is evil. Um, I think that grace and humility is so important right now. Um, I don't understand why everything, literally everything is so full of hate right now, and I can't handle it. And I'm just over here trying to tell you guys just be nice. And to just try to put yourselves in people's shoes and try to just not everything is about you. Um Sam says I need to change my algorithm or unfriend some people. Yeah, it's just seriously everything. Oh my gosh. And I do need to unfriend a lot of people, but I can't because I'm like, oh, they're just whatever. Just ignore people, but it's so hard. But yeah, everything is not about me. Everything's not about you. I feel like we just need to be nicer to each other in every single way. We just need to be nicer to each other. We just need to be a community instead of being teams. Everybody's got their list of teams that they play for, and I think we need to stop doing that. I think we just need to be like a community, just everybody. Everybody's the same. Um, and unfortunately, I don't know that that will ever happen. I think that everybody's too far gone. Everybody's too full of hate. And so people just choose to not go out into the world. I I don't like doing anything because anywhere you go, people start talking about politics or start talking about whatever, and I don't want to do it. Um so I just find ways to not be in zombie mode, but at home or like, you know, at the seminary. That's pretty much it. Unfollow or snooze has saved a few family relationships for me. Outside of family, I have no problem deleting. I'm finally at peace with myself. I'll protect it in any way I can. Yeah, that snooze button is fantastic. Fantastic. The other thing, okay, so I had someone snoozed probably for the last like 2 years because every single post that he made was just so like, okay, I don't like to talk about politics, but I'm just gonna say it for this story. He was like a, a very passionate Democrat. And so like his entire Facebook newsfeed was all like Republicans are garbage, they're stupid, they're blah blah blah, right? Um and he ended up getting cancer, and it was like crazy, like stage 4 or 5 when he found out about it. And they told him that he had like 6 weeks to live. And then he died like 2 weeks later. And it was terrible, obviously. This is somebody that I've been friends with for a long time. Um, and it's just so sad because like I go back on his Facebook to like look for pictures of him and his kid and like pictures of parties that we would go to or whatever. And it's like that's all it is. That's all it is just hate spewing. Um, because I did have him like snoozed or whatever for so long. And I found out that he was sick and whatever. And I went to go look back at his page, like to see if there was anything, any like posts that he had made or whatever. And it was literally that was it. And like That's his legacy, and that really bothers me. It really bothers me. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with me. It's not my legacy. But I've just been thinking about that so much lately. Not just him, like everybody. This is the mark we're leaving on the world. This is it. Just a bunch of hate-filled people. That's it. I mean, like, that's what the history books are gonna say. Um, I don't know, it just really bothers me. I don't think that I'm, like, out to change the world. I don't wanna, I'm not freaking Mother Teresa. I'm not trying to, be a saint and change the world and be recognized for it or whatever, but I just don't want to be known as being hateful. Like, I want when I do die, I want people to be like, "Oh, she was really nice," or "She helped me out," or whatever, you know? I don't know, and that's, like, a dumb thing to strive for, I guess, but I just wish that more people thought like that. I don't know. I just wish that more people cared about each other. Corey's gotta go. I love you. Enjoy your meeting. Um, yeah, it's just grace and community. Okay? Everybody is alone right now. Everybody is struggling alone. And I think that it's super important that we just, come together and help each other. And if you can't help financially, if you can't help with, you know, giving somebody food or giving somebody money or whatever, then there's a million other ways that you can do it. And some of them are so simple. Like we just cleaned out our garage. The kids had a bunch of bikes that they had outgrown. They were teeny tiny little bikes. Some of them had training wheels. Um, so post them on your Facebook page and ask if anybody needs a bike. Like now that's $100 that somebody doesn't have to spend. Not that we paid $100 for all of those bikes, but I'm just saying if you were to go to Walmart right now and try to buy a bike, you know, now those people don't have to spend money on that. So I helped them, but it literally cost me nothing. If your kid grows out of clothes, if you grow out of clothes, if you, lose a bunch of weight and you have clothes that are too big for you, whatever. If you just decide to purge a bunch of stuff, if you get a new set of pans and yours still have some life in them, give them to somebody. We actually here in Northeast Ohio have Tinks Cove, which they give things out to people all the time. It's like a free thrift store. Um, just try to do that. Like everything that somebody doesn't have to buy saves them money. So in a way, you're helping them financially. Rebecca says, I know I'm in a funky place in my life, which is why I only really use my Facebook to update everyone with Ollie pics. Which Ollie is her cat, and he's freaking gorgeous and adorable, and he's so sassy. But anyways, um, I don't need the pity friends or the looky-loos who just wanna watch me struggle. I keep it to see all the good parts. People's kids and animals. Yeah. Okay, first of all, I have to use Facebook for my business, which makes it hard. I have to use Facebook. It's a love-hate relationship. Um But yeah, there's so much good on there too, like, especially first day of school pictures and you know what I mean? I love seeing all that stuff. I love feeling like, my family that is scattered all over the country, I can keep up with them and I know how their kids are doing in school and I know, just I love that part of it. Um, and I don't wanna I don't wanna call you out, Rebecca, but this is what I think is wrong. I think that we've been so, brainwashed to think that, you can't ask for help. Maybe you don't wanna, post your shit publicly on Facebook like I do, but, um, it's so hard because I am the same way. I don't besides the fact that I have a podcast talking about my issues, I don't like to burden people with my issues, and I certainly do not want certain people to know when I'm struggling because I need to win, but I don't like that we aren't allowed to talk about it. And that's why I keep stressing that it's like an everybody problem. If I sit there and go, "Oh my god, I couldn't afford my groceries this week." Do you know how many people would be like, "Same, girl." But, maybe you don't wanna post it on Facebook, maybe you don't wanna tell everybody what's going on, but okay, let me ask you a question. If I were to call you and say, "I'm having these problems, I just need to vent, can you give me 10 minutes?" What would you say to me? You'd be like, "Oh my god, of course. You're not bothering me. Tell me what's up. How can I help?" Whatever. But you don't think that people are gonna react the same way when you do it, right? I know that's how you are because I'm the same way. Um, I will help anybody if they're struggling, especially if it's just like you need to vent. Hell yeah, message me. Do one of those talky Facebook message things where you just record your voice and send it. You don't even have to like wait for a reply from me. It doesn't even have to be a two-way conversation. If you just want to vent and just send a thing, I would I'm totally down for it. Um, but then I could sit there and be, like, struggling so bad and never reach out to anybody. Um, it's just a thing that we do, huh, Rebecca? Everyone else gets the snooze. Yeah, as soon as people start, like, overly political, overly whatever their mission is at the time, I can't do it. Can't do it. Rebecca says, "I think I have some very good people in my life, and those people are in the loop of where I'm at." Hi, you know what's going on. Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, as long as you have that, that's good. Because I feel like when people just don't talk to anybody, obviously that gets to be too much, you know? It's like a pressure cooker. And you just can't, I don't know, you just gotta let off some steam every once in a while. So it is good, but it is hard because you know what? There are some judgmental ass people out there. Um, I I try very hard to only associate with people who are not like that. Like I I don't even really like clean my house anymore when I have parties. I used to get super stressed about it because I'm like, "Oh my god, they're gonna judge me because my house is a mess," even though I have 3 kids and run a home daycare and have 2 dogs and, you know, whatever. Um, I used to always feel like people were gonna judge me if they came over. Now I'm like, I only associate with people who are non-judgmental. So, if you don't like my house, then obviously you're not getting invited over next time because you don't belong here. Um, but people are so judgmental, like, especially towards parents, especially towards moms. But I mean, if you post anything, like say I were to post something about like, "Oh, I'm really struggling with money. I can't afford to get groceries this week. I really wish I could take a vacation, but I can't afford it." All these people will be like, "Well, maybe you should stop drinking Starbucks." That's the other one that's like people get told that all the time. Just stop drinking expensive coffee and then you'll be able to afford those things. What? So you're telling me if I stop drinking an $8 coffee that I'll be able to afford to buy a house and go on vacation once a year? Got it. Okay. Um, but people will like instantly criticize you for every single thing that you do. So those people, snooze button. Um, Even if I see people who are like posting judgmental shit about other people, they don't even have to be judging me. I just don't want to deal with it. I feel like I don't know how it happened. Again, I feel like I'm 150 years old and the world has changed so much, but I don't know what happened. Like people used to think about it. Like don't don't say anything until you've walked a mile in their shoes. That was literally a thing that was said to me like all the time when I was little. And I don't know, maybe everybody wasn't raised that way, but we certainly were raised, to treat the CEO with the same respect that you treat the janitor because, you have no right to judge anybody ever. Um, your your wealth and your poverty can be taken away from you in an instant. You could get a certain job or win the lottery or have a rich uncle who passes away and leaves you everything. If I'm broke today, I could be rich tomorrow. And the same thing goes the other way. Um, sure, you got a lot of money. That's super cool. Uh, but you could lose that job tomorrow. That company could go bankrupt tomorrow and you could lose that job and then you have to work at McDonald's. And then on top of it, even if you don't have to work at McDonald's, if you're making less money, you have this super high mortgage, super high car loan. So when you're making less money, you're still paying that much. And guess what? You're going to be broke now. Um, it's so ridiculous to judge people over money um, because it's something that can come and go so easily. And yeah, that's definitely, we were raised CEO, janitor, same respect. Um, I find it absolutely disgusting people who feel better than other people because they have money and the other person doesn't. What a ridiculous thing to put yourself on a pedestal for. Um, I mean, you shouldn't put yourself on a pedestal for anything, but especially not money. Like that's not, yeah, you might have like worked hard, but that money is not who you are. Um, hi. So it's not like you're it's not like it's your merits or like who you are as a person. Like it's a number in your bank account and it means absolutely nothing. Um okay, good night. Jeez. um but yeah, so I don't know. I just always that's always how I've been raised and how I will teach my children because I don't care what sort of society we live in. My brain is stuck in like 1980s, 1990s America, and I'm just gonna stay there. And I'm gonna teach my kids. I'm gonna just pretend. I'm just gonna be delusional. Um, so yeah. So I am here for you guys. If you need anything, if you are struggling and you need to figure out a way to do things, um, if you listen, I've been there. And I'm very, very thankful. I say it every day and I am so thankful for my job. Um, everything did fall into place and I'm not trying to like brag about it. Everything did fall into place for me exactly when it needed to because I can guarantee you, Richie and I made a decision for me to stay home and it made the most sense financially. And yeah, we had to like not spend money the way a lot of people do. We had to like cut things back and go without certain things. And that was a decision we made because we put our children first and we weren't worried about taking vacations and doing things. We didn't it was like super not important to us. But we made that decision for me to be home and it was it was perfect. It was perfect. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But we did struggle a lot. And I'm sure Bridgie doesn't want me talking about it. He's very prideful. He works very hard for everything that we have. And he did an amazing job. But shit happens, right? I mean, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and then you have, your hot water tank breaks and you have to buy a new one. Um, then yeah, you're going to struggle for the next couple weeks or the next couple paychecks until you get caught back up. So it's not like it was anything that he did or I did or whatever. It's just life happens, whatever. Um, so I've been there and Um, when I left my ex, when I, left my son's father, someone who I love very much told me that I was not going to be able to afford to feed my child, and that I was making a mistake, and that I would be nothing without this person and whatever. So, I had always, 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 because it's like one of those things that lives rent free in your brain forever. And that was 16 years ago, 17 years ago. And it still lives rent free in my brain. And so one of the things that I did was I always had food for Ryan in my house, always. And I'm not just talking like a little bit. I would have like 50 cans of SpaghettiOs and like 10 packs of chicken nuggets. And I always had like bread and bologna and whatever. And when Richie and I first started dating, he would come over and he'd be like, do you have adult food?" And I'd be like, "No, no," because I wasn't worried about me. It was rent free in my brain that I was not gonna be able to feed my child, so that's what I worried about. But over the years, that's grown into, obviously feeding everybody, and I have built up a stockpile of food in my house. Um, and I would definitely encourage you guys to do that. It's There's been a couple of times where, something did happen, the hot water tank breaks or the car breaks or we have to buy a new car or whatever, and there's been a couple of times where we didn't have to go to the grocery store for a couple of months, other than for milk and bread, and I cannot even tell you how much better that made me feel, just having that, because that was always my biggest fear, was not being able to feed my children, and just having that made me feel so much better, and it was obviously I wasn't I wasn't rich, um, it was something that I did with, like, $10 a week. I was, just slowly building this up, but good lord, was I so thankful to have it when I needed it. Like, one of the time I was doing home daycare, and, you know, you don't get you don't get maternity leave when you're self-employed, right? Like, you don't get paid to not work. That's not the way it works when you're self-employed. So, I still had to take maternity leave. I can't just, like, go back to work the next day. So, w we were living paycheck to paycheck, and I went for 5 weeks without getting any money. So, that was one of the times where that came in handy. My dad would stop over. God, my dad's amazing. My dad would stop over with, bread and milk and, like, the necessities, and we lived off of what was in my pantry, and gosh, if you guys have the ability to do that, please do it, because first of all, things are crazy already, right? They're already crazy, but, like, they're talking about gas prices going up, like, a lot, um like, I guess the price of gas is gonna go to a certain, like, 200 or $300 a barrel, and it's at, like, $80 now, so, I mean, everything relies on gas to get where it needs to go, so everything's gonna get expensive, but expensiver, I should say. But it's just something, if you have the ability to do it or you need help learning how to do it, then just let me know. Um, if there's one thing I'm good at, it's doing things for free or cheap. Um, I've developed a great, like, system for doing things as cheap as possible, or, knowing resources for getting things for free. So if you're working on something, if you got something coming up, if you got, like, a birthday party coming up, or, something that you need to do and you're worried about how you're gonna do it with the money you got, let me know. That's, like, my dream job, is a party planner for people who don't have a lot of money. Like, just seriously, I wrote a book on it. That's another topic. But a friend of mine and I wrote an entire book of ways that you can have different themed parties and whatever, and ways to do it for, like, super cheap, like, what you would eat, what decorations you would have, what kind of music you would play, everything. Literally wrote a book. I don't know what happened to it, but so if you guys need help with anything, if you need help with groceries, if you need help with, like, literally anything, just let me know. I am here for you guys. But, what else? Do you guys have anything to say before I go? Because I do. I just had a new listing today. Yay. And my phone has been nonstop. Like, I don't know if you guys can hear it on the microphone. Hopefully it drowns it out, but I think I have 6 missed calls right now. Um, I think it's cute when people say, "What are your business hours?" I don't have those. Oh, Rebecca said, I feel like people don't respect anyone anymore, including the CEO. People are rude and entitled and just ignorant. And I agree 100%. I'd like to pretend it was the world we lived in before social media ruined us all. Yes, preach. Um, Even my oldest, who's 19, has told me before that he wishes that he could have grown up in that time because social media is a bitch, man. I do not envy these children who have to deal with it. Um, I think it's just I think you're right. I think it's just given us an excuse to forget that those are human beings. You know, people will put um just terrible comments like, "Oh, my sister's not on anymore." Yes, Rebecca, the Geneva House, isn't it so cute? Um, but I don't know if you guys remember, I went viral. Remember when I said "member" like I'm like I'm 5 years old. Remember a couple of years ago, I wrote to Frito-Lay and asked them for coupons or something, again, because I was struggling, and Ryan was obsessed with Flamin' Hot Cheetos, so I wrote to Frito-Lay and asked them for, like, coupons, and I told them my 14-year-old super obsessed with Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and they ended up sending me 2 huge boxes full of, like, Chester Cheetos stuffed animals for all 3 kids, and, um, literally an entire gigantic box just of Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and there was a bunch of coupons, and there was, like, Cheetos socks, Cheetos T-shirts, like, a whole bunch of stuff. So anyways, I made a video just to share with, like, my friends and family. Made this video. I looked like shit, I'm not gonna lie. I was crying over Cheetos, so I had, like, makeup all over my face, like, I didn't brush my hair, I didn't do anything. And, I just made this video because I wanted to show my friends and family how amazing this was. And then, oh my god, freaking Frito-Lay shared it, Cheetos shared it. There was, like, all these people, and there's, like, 100,000 views, whatever. And I am on there just expressing my gratitude. I was so thankful to the Frito-Lay company. I was so happy. I was so excited. And you would not believe the number of disgusting comments. Why? Why? And I think my sister had to, like, refrain from using Facebook in general because she kept commenting, every time somebody would say something negative, because people were commenting on my appearance and saying stuff about my mole and all this other stuff. And it was like, my sister was like, she's going to show this to her kid. After he gets his present, she's going to show this to her kid. And all he's going to see is all these people being so negative and talking about her appearance and talking about her voice and talking about, like, so many negative people. And for what? For what? Does that really make you feel better? You feel better about yourself when you talk shit about people on the internet? Sam says optical Denise flaming hot mama. It was on the Frito-Lay page. But obviously that was a long time ago. I'll have to see if I can find it because I will show it to you, Sam, because it was so amazing. It was so cool of them to do. Um, it just came from their customer relations department, and it just showed up at my door. They didn't even tell me they were gonna send it. Like, it was such a surprise, and it was such oh my god. I had no idea what I was gonna do for Christmas for the kids that year. I had no idea. I just had to have, like, emergency dental work, and I am a scaredy cat at the dentist, so I had to pay, like, extra money so that they could put me down while they put me down, put me under while they did it. Um, so again, life happened, and we were, like, super broke before Christmas, and I was like, "I have no idea what I'm gonna do." And then here's Frito-Lay, like, comes in and saves the day. But, it's cool that your mom goes viral, right? Like, especially for a 14-year-old, like, "Oh my god, mom, you have 100,000 views on your video." Um, but then to see all of the people in the comments who just made it their job to destroy somebody's life for no reason, for no reason. And it's one thing if you're like, somebody is just being a terrible person and you're calling them out on it, or, somebody is, I don't know, like hitting a puppy or something. I don't know. Then call them out on it. But to just go on a video where somebody is literally just spreading love, somebody is literally just spreading gratitude and excitement and whatever, and then for you to go on there and just be a disgusting, morally repulsive person, there's no point. But that's what the internet does. It just makes people into trolls. Like it's so terrible. The comments section of any post, it's just terrible. It doesn't even have to be like a political post or any sort of type of post. It could be a mom packing her kids lunch and just like sharing ideas, like cute ideas that she thinks, would be good in her kids' lunch. And then people want to, does that have red dye number 40? Are you trying to kill your kid? Or the other way, like, oh, you don't have to rub it in our faces that you can afford organic food. It's like, just stop. Just stop. First of all, nobody has ever changed their opinion on any topic ever in the history of social media because someone decided to call them out on something or somebody decided to degrade them or whatever. There's literally no point to it. Um, People are just garbage. But yeah, that was not I apologize. That's like I could go on for days about that because I feel like it's a huge part of what's wrong with our society, honestly, is just that people don't remember that that's a human being with a life and feelings on the other side of those words that you type out. And it seems like it's just words to you, but it's definitely not. And for me, um, the thought that somebody could be on the other end of those comments and take those comments to heart, and maybe that is the last straw. Maybe they've been struggling so hard with depression, and my comment is the thing that's like, "Yeah, I don't need to be on this planet anymore." Oh, that is such a terrible thought, and people don't even think like that. They don't even think like that. Um, they just wanna I don't know what they wanna do, actually. Maybe they just have some sexual kicks that they get from destroying people's lives, like, maybe it makes them feel strong or tough or something. I don't really understand it, but I do feel sorry for those people because, God, what a miserable existence. Can you imagine just being a jerk to people on the internet all day, like, to make yourself feel better? Obviously, you don't even feel better because you're a miserable human being, um, and that's really sad. Right? This lady was trying to this lady who could not even spell words was telling me that I was an uneducated idiot on the internet today, and I was just like, I'm very happy that you never had to financially struggle in your life. That's a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that for you. I said, "Have a wonderful day," and I put the emoji with the hearts around the face. Like, I don't even know what else to say to you. I'm not gonna sit here and let it bother me because I feel like that's what these people want. They just want you to be, like, upset and like, "Oh my god, how could you say that to me?" I'm just like, "Have a beautiful day. I hope that you can find happiness somewhere else maybe besides the internet." Jeez, oh man. But yeah, so I'm gonna get off of here, but this was good, and I hope that you guys I mean, everybody who's in the comments at least, I can't tell who's watching, but everybody that's in the comments is very good about just treating people, like human beings, but maybe just try to go out there and spread a little extra kindness. We got it shoved down our throats so much, how to hate people, but we don't really get taught how to love people and accept people anymore. That's not really a thing. So we just have to be like light warriors and go out there and spread love. And, it's not super easy. It's not like you can just go and, you know, buy everybody's groceries or do whatever. But just remind people that there's good out there still, and that it's possible to love people that you've never met or that you don't know. And I don't know, just be a good person. Maybe someday it'll make a difference. If there's enough of us that are constantly fighting to show people that there's good in the world, then maybe it'll start to be more good in the world. I don't know. It's just my stupid dream. But hopefully you guys can help. Um and you know, teach your kids to love people. I am loving seeing my TikTok algorithm is just full of kids going and doing amazing things for people. And even if it's not amazing things, maybe if it's just like loading an old lady's groceries into her cart, but your kid's like 10 years old and you don't even have to ask him to do it. Like, oh, that's the stuff that makes my heart so happy when you see these kids do that stuff. I love it. Um, so yeah, go out there and make a difference. And I will talk to you guys next week. As always, if you need anything in the meantime, just message the page. Um, or if we're friends on Facebook, then message me on there, text me, whatever you guys got to do. Um, Kim said, I appreciate you having a note about text 988, the suicide awareness month. Oh, it is suicide awareness month. Oh, I'm so sorry. And it's hard to people don't want to call. And that's why I put the 988 up there because texting is so much easier, right? You can say what you want without being cut off. Um, and so I just feel like texting is a lot easier. Um, I can't imagine what you're going through. That is something I could never even pretend to understand. But I do know people who have done that and they are so good about hiding it. They're so good about it. They are very smart and they thought it through and they know how to hide it from even the people who love them the most. And I think that's the thing that's the hardest is just realizing that, they did a really good job of fooling you because they knew that if you knew, then you would do something about it. Um, I had a client whose sister was a hoarder and it was not just like, somebody has a collection of too much stuff, but it was like dead cats and just terrible living conditions, which ultimately ended her life. She got so sick from all of the germs and stuff that she passed away. But I sat there with him for like hours in the driveway and he just kept saying, "I had no idea. I had no idea." And I never met his sister before. But she did so many things. She did so many things to hide it from him. You know, when he would come into town, she would say, "Oh my gosh, this new hotel opened up. Let me get you guys a room there. My treat." And so he just assumed that, she was just being nice and she was just letting them have this night out or whatever in a hotel. Well, it was because she didn't want him to come there. Um, and the neighbor had he was, like, mowing her lawn, and she thought that he had looked in the door and seen the way she was living, and so she got in a fight with him and didn't let him come over anymore, and she found a new company to do her lawn. Um, when people struggle with things, they struggle 24/7, and so they're thinking about it 24/7, and they're always thinking about ways to trick the people who love them into believing that everything is okay because, that's what they do. Scott, thank you for joining right as I was about to leave. I'm so sorry. Um, Scott, I do want to talk to you sometime before next week. But I love you guys and let me know in the meantime if you guys need anything. And if you want to talk about something that you don't want anybody to know you're talking about, then message the page. It is absolutely not my story to tell. So I will leave your name out of it and I will make sure that we talk about it. And the amazing people in my comments can talk about it as well because we have a great group of people. And every week I make my list of what I'm going to talk about. And you guys have no idea who has given me those topics to put on that list. So I've done a great job of keeping you guys anonymous so far, and I will continue to do that. So if you have something you want to talk about and you don't want anybody to know, message the page and let me know what's going on, and I will make sure that we talk about it. Um, Obviously, as long as it's not like offensive or anything. But I love you guys, and I will talk to you next week.